Hey, I'm Becca with the Happy Ever Crafter, and in this video I'm going to show you how to draw a wreath with anemone flowers, anemone, I hate that word, and how to fill it in with greenery and leaves and all that kind of stuff. So first things first, if you have not seen my other video where I walk you through step by step how to draw an anemone, definitely go watch that one first, because I'm not going to walk you through how to draw the actual flower in this one. I'm just going to walk you through how to put it together into a wreath. For tools in this video, I'm using micron pens. So these are just really simple fine liner black pens. I have a 1, a 3, and a 5. That is driving me crazy that they're not in the order that I just said that in. And then I have a pencil and an eraser, and I'm using Rhodia, just white normal paper. If you don't have any of these things, don't worry if it's not these brands. You can use whatever pens you want. The only thing that I really recommend is having a pencil and an eraser, and then whatever white paper and whatever pens you want. You're also going to need something round to draw your guideline circle. So this is just the top of a jar. You can find anything laying around in whatever size you want. So the first thing I'm going to do is draw the guideline for my circle. Now, any pencil work we're going to do is just going to be really light, so don't draw really hard with your pencil. So just draw a really faint guideline of a circle in the center of your page. Next, I'm going to sort of lay out the shape and the spacing of the flowers that I want to draw. So again, I'm going to draw anemones, and I'm going to draw a couple different types, so some from the side and some from the top. And again, if you haven't watched the video on that, make sure you've done that before you go any further. So the first thing I want to note is that usually when you're drawing wreaths with flowers, you don't want to put it like smack dab in the bottom. You want to kind of put it off to the side just to make it look a little more natural. And you also want to try and work in uneven numbers. So, 3, 5, 7, whatever. It just generally makes it look a little bit more natural. So the first thing I'm going to do is draw kind of the general shape of my first flower here, just drawing in the circle just for the placement. Next, I'm going to draw one a little bit smaller up to the side here, and one more in this bottom corner, actually overlapping. Okay, and then I'm going to draw one over in this top corner here, another fairly large one, and maybe one up here, a smaller one. So now we have 5 flowers. Now I feel like this is going to actually look quite bare if I only do 5, so I'm going to add some more. Okay, so now I have 7 circles, and I think I'm going to be happy with this one, but maybe we'll modify as we go. Now I'm going to switch to my micron pens, and I'm going to start with my size 3. Again, if you've watched the previous anemone video, you know that that's how I normally start the actual shape of my flowers. And I'm going to start with the biggest, more open anemones first. So again, I'm not going to walk you step by step through how to do each flower. I'm just going to draw them and speed this up a little so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so there's the shape of my first flower. Now I'm just going to do the same thing for the rest of them. Some open to the front and some to the sides. The one thing you want to keep in mind as you're doing this is that if you're doing some all the way around this circle, you don't want them all to be opening in the same directions. Just make it look a little bit more natural. You also want to keep in mind that your flowers are going to go behind each other now. So when you draw kind of the more focal one, that'll be the one that's in the front, and the rest of them are going to work kind of around the edges of it. So if you're more comfortable, you can do this in pencil first as well. Another thing to note is that if you're working like this and you feel like you're more comfortable with your flowers being right side up, don't worry about rotating your paper. You can do that if you want to. There's nothing saying that you have to keep your paper in the same position. I'm just doing that to make it look better on video, to be honest. All right, so I've got the general shape of my flowers. And now I'm going to add in the leaves. Now, if you've never done this before, I suggest doing it in pencil first. I'm going to jump right in with my pen, but like I said, do it in pencil first if you're not comfortable, because this part can get a little bit messy. So the one thing you want to keep in mind is that I like to keep my leaves all sort of pointing in the same direction. I find it makes it look a little bit neater, and you can fill them in sort of pointing off in different directions, which you'll see in a second, but I like to keep them all sort of pointing in one direction on the wreath. So let's say I was going to start up here. I would probably add in some leaves coming off of this little one, pointing in this general direction, opening into that direction. Then I would probably sort of add like a stem here, and it would have pieces coming off with more longer, different shaped leaves. Now again, if you haven't seen my video where I go over how to draw leaves, make sure you've seen that one before you get to this step. And I'm just gonna gradually add in a bunch more leaves here and make sure that they're kind of going behind the flower. Then with some of these smaller ones, so these ones are all tucked in behind the flowers, and so you wouldn't see their stems even though they're side flowers, but this little one here would actually be kind of coming off of a stem. So I'm gonna add that in. And then I'm gonna add in some more of these little leaves that aren't on a vine, just peeking out from each of the flowers. So for example, up here, I would probably put a leaf. You just wanna kind of look at it and make it rounded. So here I would add one kind of here, and maybe even a little piece of one sticking out there. Then on these ones, maybe I'd have one opening out of here, and maybe here too. I feel like I want some more weight in here, but I want it to be another one of these skinny leaves. So it's just kind of looking at it and getting a feel for where you like to add weight. Here I'd add one out of here for sure. And I might even add this rest of this stem as if it's peeking through back here, and give it a couple more leaves. So the long and skinny ones again. Just as if the edges of the leaves are poking out. So right now this might look a little bit jumbled, but now we're gonna add the details. So first things first, erase all of your pencil lines. And then you're gonna grab your smaller pen, or just keep using the pen you have if you're only using one, and you're gonna start adding the detail lines. Again, I go over this in the tutorial I did for the leaves and for the anemones. Okay, so I've added the detail on the flowers. Now I'm gonna add the detail on the leaves. Personally, I don't usually add too much detail to leaves, but I try and differentiate these long and skinny ones from the wider ones. So I'll add a little bit of different detail to each of those. And once all the detail lines are in, you're gonna take your thicker pen and actually go around and add some contrast. And this is what's gonna make your drawing really pop. And then once you've added the contrast, the last thing you want to do, and this is a tip I've sort of picked up over the years, is to kind of tilt your head back and squint your eyes at it and see if there's any weird spots that are standing out that look blank and where you could add a couple more leaves. I'm actually really happy with the way that mine looks, so I'm going to call that finished. So hopefully that was helpful, and if you want to learn any more floral drawing techniques, make sure to check out this video and the rest of this whole playlist, because I've done tons and I think you'll like them. And also make sure you're subscribed, because I put out 2 new tutorials a week and I'd love to see you back here. I'll see you next time.